This is Misty Forest Bible Ministries, and this is Genesis chapter 41 of the KJ3. And it happened at the end of 2 years of days. Pharaoh was dreaming, and lo, and he was standing by the river, and behold, 7 cows were going up from the river, beautiful of appearance and fat of flesh. They were feeding in the reeds. Behold, 7 other cows were going up after them from the river, evil of appearance and lean of flesh, and they were standing beside the cows on the lip of the river. And the evil appearing and lean fleshed cows were eating the 7 cows of beautiful and fat appearance. And Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed a second dream, and behold, 7 years of grain were coming up on one stalk, fat and good. And behold, 7 years of grain being lean and blasted by the east wind sprouting forth after them, and seven lean years were swallowing the 7 fat and full years. And the Pharaoh awakened, and lo, it was a dream. And it happened in the morning, and this spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men, and Pharaoh told them his dream, and it was no interpreter of them to Pharaoh. And the chief of the cupbearers spoke with Pharaoh, saying, I mentioned my sin today. And Pharaoh was angry against his servants, and gave them into custody in the house of the chief of the executioners, me and the chief of the bakers. And he dreamed a dream in one night. He and we each man dreamed according to the interpretation of this dream, and a Hebrew youth was with us, a slave to the chief of the executioners. And we told him, and he interpreted our dream to us. He interpreted each man according to his dream, and it happened that he had interpreted it to us. So it was, he returned to me, to my position, and he hanged him. And Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they rushed him from the prison, and he shaved and changed his clothing and came in to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. I have heard about you, and saying, you hear a dream to interpret it. And Joseph replied to Pharaoh, saying, not I. God will answer the welfare of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph in my dream, behold, I was standing on the lip of the river, and behold, 7 cows were coming up from the river, fat of flesh and beautiful of form, and were feeding in the reeds. And behold, 7 other cows were going up after them, poor and very evil of form, and lean of flesh. I have not seen any like of them in the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and evil cows ate the first 7 fat cows, and they went into their stomachs. And it could be seen that they had gone into the stomachs, and their appearance was as evil as the beginning as I awakened. And I looked at my dream, and behold, 7 ears of grain had come up on one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 years withered and lean, blasted by the east wind, sprouting forth after them. And the lean years were swallowing up the 7 good years. And I spoke to the magicians, but not one is making known the meaning to me. And Pharaoh said to Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of the Pharaoh is one. God has shown Pharaoh and what he has about to do. The 7 good cows they are 7 years, and the 7 good years, they are 7 years. It is one dream. The 7 lean and evil appearing cows going up after them, they are 7 years, and they are 7 empty years, blasted with the east wind, with the 7 years of famine. This is the word that I have spoke to Pharaoh, and what God is about to do. And he has made Pharaoh see, and behold, 7 years of great plenty are coming in all the land of Egypt. 7 years of famine will rise up after them. All the plenty of land of Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will consume the land. The plenty in the land will not be remembered because of the famine afterwards, for it will be very heavy one. As the dream repeated Pharaoh twice, the thing is settled because it is from God, and God has hastened to do it. And now let Pharaoh look for a man who is intelligent and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh act, and let him appoint rulers over the land, and make a fifth of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of plenty, and let them gather all the food of these coming good years, and let them heap up grain under Pharaoh's hand as food in the cities, and let them keep it. And let the food be for a store for the land in the 7 years of the famine, which land of Egypt. Let not the land be cut off by famine. And the word was good in Pharaoh's eyes, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, Can we find any man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God? And Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has taught you all this, there is no one wise and intelligent like you. You shall be over my house, and you'll be at your mouth. All of my people shall kiss the hand, only in respect to the throne will I be greater in you. The Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, I will put you all in the land of Egypt, over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put on the ring of Joseph, and he clothed him in fine linen robes, put a golden chain on his neck, and he caused him to ride in a chariot, which was the second to him. And they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he put him over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, without a word from you, not a man shall lift his hand or his foot in all of the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph by the name of Zephanath-Paneah, and he gave him Asenath, the daughter of Poti-Pherah, priest of On, for a wife. And Joseph went on over the land of Egypt. Joseph was a son of 30 years. As he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, Joseph went out on the face of Pharaoh and passed over in all the land of Egypt, and the land produced by handfuls in the 7 years of plenty. And he gathered all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and he put food in the cities, and the food of the field, which is around each city, to put it into the middle of it. And Joseph heaped up grains like sand of the sea exceedingly much, until he has ceased to count it, because it was without number. And 2 sons were born to Joseph before the year of the famine came in, whom Asenath, the daughter of Poti-Pherah, priest of On, bore to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for he said, God had made me forget all my toil in the house of my father. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, and he said, God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come, according to as Joseph has said. And the famine was in all the lands, and all of the land of Egypt they were bread. And all the land of Egypt hungered, and people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to all of Egypt, Go to Joseph, what he says to do. And the famine was on the face of all the land, and Joseph opened all which was in them, and sold the Egyptians, and the famine was strong in the land of Egypt. And all the earth came to Egypt to buy to Joseph, for the famine was strong in all the earth.